Our next presenter is Shannon Cox. Mrs. Cox graduated from Manatee Technical College in 2000 as a mechanical draftsman. She joined Manatee County Utilities Department, Utility Records Division in 2007 when the GIS was in its infancy. Over the last 15 years, she has progressed through the career ladder, working in a supervisory role for the last 10 years. Mrs. Cox is quality driven with prevention of damages to the underground infrastructure as her driving force. She has taken part in the implementation of multiple integrations with a variety of work order management systems and is one of the database managers for utilities data. She is co-founder and co-lead for the Women in GIS Tampa Bay chapter.
Thank you, Kelly. As Kelly said, my name is Shannon Cox. I work for Manatee County Utilities, and I am the utility mapping supervisor. Today, I just want to give you like a brief overview of our group and how we are using GIS. Hang on just a second, guys. Somebody want to tell me how to get to the next? Do I do this? Too far. So, this is my thing. I always have some technical difficulties. So, all right. So if you ask any of the staff that works for utility records, we all have one job. And that one job is to prevent damages, regardless of whether you're on the records side of the house or if you're on the locates team, because we are a group that is very unique in our architecture. So our division is broken up into records, mapping, and then locates. So whenever you call 811, call Sunshine, our team will go out and they will mark our infrastructure. Now, the records folks, we actually have gone through a morph recently with the architecture of our team, and the staff that are considered records and mapping have kind of been combined, and all staff that fall underneath that records mapping will do records adherence to standards, and also they will map those projects. So on the record side of the house, we're ensuring that the as-builts are adhering to the Manatee County standards. We are making sure that they are complete as possible. We need to make sure that we have major connections, that all of the properties that are within those phase lines are being served by water services or sewer services. And then we also ensure that those records are archived accurately. We do have a records vault where we keep our Mylars. We are in the process of going electronic, so we do still have our records vault, but eventually we are moving towards being able to accept electronically our as-built records. And then whenever we move over into mapping, the staff ensure that the records are mapped accurately. Now, they only have the record to go off of, so even if something is inaccurate in the record, they still have to map it in GIS inaccurately, because that is what the record says, and that is what we are held to. We're held to the record. That's why it's such a big deal in the beginning to make sure that the records are adhering, that they're complete. And then our locate staff, they go out and they locate this infrastructure. And one of their sayings is mark it right the first time and every time. So our records archive is more than 8,000 records, and we process roughly 250 records annually. And these are as-built, construction plans, field sketches, GPS jobs. So how much data are we talking about? This picture is actually the Earth from 10,000 miles. That is how much infrastructure that my team is in charge of taking care of. We have mapped that much. That's what we have in GIS. We then have to maintain that, and then we have to move towards getting it more accurate. As you can see, we are not your typical utilities. We also take care of some of the other departments' infrastructure. We map and house the records for drainage, data communication, traffic, and lighting. These are not we don't own these facilities. They are owned by Public Works, but we maintain their records and we maintain their data for these items. We also have a great working relationship with our Public Works staff, and we're able to work together on apps and helping them out because they are one of our customers. So here's an example of our current growth. Now, I gave a very similar presentation of this information back in January, and that is the comparison that we're going by. So in terms of growth, our drainage has grown. You see growth in everything. That's just since the beginning of the year. So since late January, 240 linear miles of infrastructure have been added to our GIS in Manatee County, which our land covers approximately 743 square miles, of which 150 square miles is water. So potable increased by 62 miles, reclaimed 35 miles, sanitary 66 miles. There's just some examples of how much growth we are seeing. COVID didn't slow us down. Nothing is really slowing the development down. It is constant. It keeps flowing in no matter what. So here's our basic layout, our model of how we adhere and keep everybody in this. And the first breakdown would be for the records side. So again, they ensure that the records are adhering to standards. They make sure that the records are complete, and then we archive them correctly. This year, staff has completed 430 record reviews on 113 records. 237 of those have been entered as final as-built into our on-base system. So we do have a public-facing map viewer. And one of the really great things about this map viewer is it has a direct link into our as-builts. So if you click on a line, you're going to get a on-base link. And when you click the record drawing on-base link, more information, it's going to take you directly to the page of the as-built that piece of infrastructure came from. We also have a lot of open data, and we have reduced the amount of information requests that we are getting by just simply opening our data up and putting it out in a public atmosphere so that the users can get the data themselves and not overtask our team because we're already busy doing other stuff with, answering information requests. We still get them, but not as many as since we have allowed this data to be out openly on the internet. So the second part of the pie is the mapping. We make sure that we map these records accurately. And again, as I said, if the record is inaccurate, we map it inaccurate, because that is all that we have to go on is the record. We make no assumptions. And I make that very clear during our record review process of the reason why that we have such high standards for the records that are coming in is because my staff is going to map it exactly how it is on the record. They're not going to make assumptions. If you forgot a material, that material is going to be unknown on that pipe. Nobody's going to make an assumption just because the surrounding pipes are PVC, that pipe will also be PVC. So this slide gives an example of the the programs from Esri that we use, and also some of the integrations that we have with our information. So Manatee County does have an enterprise agreement with Esri, and that has opened up a lot of tools and, solutions for our staff at Manatee County. We are trying to move towards ARC Pro. However, in order to do that, because we are in a geometric network, we need to convert into the util network. We are in the midst of that now, but it is a long, drawn out process. We would all like it to be over already, but it is not. We also use ArcGIS Online to post various maps or whatever that people might need. ArcGIS dashboards, we've used dashboards in the past for lift station reporting. It tracks whether or not a lift station is operable or not. And this is great for during storm season. We are a coastal community, so we do have a lot of surge issues. So knowing that in our barrier island areas, whether or not a lift station is down is a big deal, because it's not an active dashboard that we have now. It is one that we have taken down and we're trying to revamp for the future. But it's key to know that these lift stations are down, because that then affects all of the citizens that are upstream of that lift station. One of the big products that we've been using is Data Reviewer. Data Reviewer we implemented whenever we started doing our data readiness for the util network conversion. And my staff has now implemented daily use of Data Reviewer to continue to keep all of the data as good as possible, as a high quality as possible, as we move towards that integration. And then Lucidity is a work order management system that the utilities department is using, and CityWorks is the work order management system that our public works uses. So for drainage and the telecom layers, that is all the work orders are done through CityWorks for those layers. And then Envision is property management. So we do have some properties that are coded as being county facilities, and those are managed by our property management department. So they use Envision, the Envision suite. So another way that we use the GIS is for management, reporting up to management, what our growth is. This is an example of our, what we call sums reports. And this shows over a period of time how our data has grown. We just go into our backups, run some things through Excel, and we get our numbers, and it shows a constant growth over time. On the very left of the graph is going to be 2013. Sorry, it's really blurry. So it's starting on the left of the graph at 2013. And so this is 10 years. 10 years of growth, right? Yes. And then some other things that we use our GIS for is we do have a drone program at Manatee County. It's a rather large program, but we at utilities are using the drones for, presentations or promotional kind of material, sunrises over the dam, making it look all pretty. But this is the kind of things that we're using it for. We're also using it for storm response, both pre and post storm. Pre-storm, we'll do like inspections of roofs within the utilities department, and it's actually paid off really well for us during Ian, because the next slide is a short video that just shows post-storm Hurricane Ian, one of our facilities out at our southwest wastewater treatment facility. The lining on the roof came off. So we had captured drone footage before the storm, and now we have the after. So we're able to get our FEMA reimbursements for damage. We're also trying to use it for infrared inspection of our, that's what this one is right here. Infrared inspection of our elevated towers for leaks or anything like that. See if I can figure this out, because last time I couldn't. Oh, there we go. So in the upper left corner was the pre-storm inspection. And so at the very end of the video, he kind of gets it back around to the exact same outlook so that you can kind of do a comparison. But this was key in helping us with our reimbursement for FEMA. Oop, I got it twice. All right, there we go. All right, and then the third part of our pie is our locates team, and they are just as key as every other portion of this pie. So they are our field observers for records. So whenever that we have those inaccurate records come in and we need to true them up, we're gonna ask our locates team to go out. They have 2 GPS units, and they are survey quality sub-centimeter GPS units, and they're gonna go out and they're gonna grab the data for us of anything that's above ground. And then we will import that data into GIS and we'll make a field sketch out of it, put the record into OnBase, cloud the original records. Our big key thing is keeping the continuity between all of that stuff. We have to be able to track why we made the change that we made. So they locate it, and then they true up our field stuff, and here you go. They are a key element in improving our GIS data. So these are 2 examples of some reports that our locate supervisor came up with. One of them is a utility locates field issue report, and this is used whenever our locators go out into the field and they see an issue, they identify an issue with the GIS data. They're going to write up one of these reports, and then that's going to come back to me, and then I'll delegate it out to staff to make corrections. And then the second one is just a GPS report, and this is more of like a transmittal type of document. It is meant just for, just a document to have with the GPS data, because a lot of the times all that I'm getting is a shape file, and I'm not getting any kind of documentation with that to track the job through the process, because those are also going to be entered into OnBase, linked to originating records if there is one. So our locators are also using drones. They're using them for prevention of damages, and also to capture pictures after action whenever that there is a damage. So what these pictures are showing is the one on the left with the loader, or not, whatever that is, the piece of equipment there. You can very clearly see the red and the blue on the sidewalk, and they hit it. They still hit it, even though it was marked. And anyone that's familiar with locators, they are the first one to be blamed whenever a facility gets damaged. Well, you didn't locate it, you didn't mark it, your marks were off. So these are just, we're using them, the drones, for proof that we were accurate in our locates, but in most situations, the excavators are the ones that made the mistake. And our locators are doing their job so well that we have approximately 1 at-fault damage per 1,000 tickets. So we are amongst the lowest at damages, and that has every bit to do with the entire process. It has every bit to do with that the records are high quality and accurate, that we're mapping accurately. We're constantly improving our data by getting field information back into the mapping. And that's what pretty much ties us all together. All of our GIS data is based off of a record, some type of record. Could be a field sketch, could be GPS job, but there is a record behind all data that is in our GIS system. And I am just a little bit too fast. So does anybody in the room have any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
When you said, sub-decimeter for location, GPSing. What kind of equipment do you use?
So I believe that we are using a Topcon FC 5000. I believe is the unit that we are using. And it's just highly accurate survey quality. And we do also, we're part of the LNet, so through Lingerman. And we've actually have a base station at our utilities complex, and we also have a base station at the water treatment facility, which is in the east part of our county. And we did that for multiple reasons. We did that for ourselves and we did that for others. And that LNet, you can get all the way in, like pretty far into DeSoto County and still pick it up. But yeah, that's the survey quality unit that we're using. Yes, Tracy.
You mentioned that you're making the transition from geometric network to utility. Y'all doing that in-house and how far into the road?
So we started out because I'm just a little bit crazy and I like to bite off more than I can chew. We started off trying to do it kind of in-house. We had an Esri consultant come in and they did our data readiness for us. And then from that, we started our data reviewer and cleaning up our data. And we had 300,000 errors the first time that I ran it. The vast majority of those errors were resolved by myself. There were a lot of domain mismatches. And that comes from, we have multiple domain lists that we've used over time and multiple domain assignments. So although they may look the same, capital N, capital O, one of them has a 1 in front of it, which is the coded value, and one of them doesn't, but they look exactly the same. So we've had a lot of that kind of cleanup. And the last time that I ran the data reviewer before I was like, that's it, Potable is good enough. We were down to like 3,000. So, and then I worked through those, but I haven't run it again. And as I said, my staff, they're running it daily as they close out a project, they're finished drafting the project. We're taking all of those batch files that we got from Esri and we're just implementing them into our normal daily workflow. So I did try to push the data into the model. And then I was like, huh, about all the stuff that we have integrated in here, what am I going to mess up whenever I get this going? So then we took a step back and we got Esri engaged again. We are working with another consultant. He is helping to give us a plan. And that's what we're working on right now is we've got the plan he's gotten it all written down. And we've done a lot of assessment between us and our IT department, just listing out those systems that are integrated with it, and also the different dashboards and programs that we have already spun up, like what's going to break whenever we hit yes. So that's pretty much where we are. We've got our implementation plan, but we have not moved towards actually implementing. Our IT GIS department has put the power on the users. That is one of the reasons why that I am one of the database managers for the utilities data, is because our utilities department is very, our IT department is very like empowering of the users. They'll give you as much as that you think you can do. So we've been working with them and we think that we're to the point of pretty close to pushing Potable into the model, but we're not there yet. We're also trying to handle things like we got the heads up from Sarasota County that there's a small change with the sanitary sewer information and how that it's mapped. We currently map our gravity mains from the center point of one manhole to the center point of the next manhole. And that's not how the util network works. It goes from wall to wall. So in preparation for that, I've already had to have conversations with upper management about the sum reports that I gave the example of are going to have a loss once we flip the switch on sewer. We've approximated it as about 3 foot per segment of gravity is what we're going to lose. So we've already started prepping our upper management for that kind of stuff.
Did y'all decide early on what fidelity?
I'm sorry, can you maybe use another word?
My understanding is you always have to kind of look, decide what level of fidelity you're going to use, whether it's, you're going to increase your data within the network to make things more modelable, or I think most people just start off with what they have, fill in some gaps with some default information.
Yeah, so as far as like data integrity, we're trying to take care of all of that on the front end before we even push into the model. But no decisions have really been made past that. Was there anybody else? You have 2 online? No, I'll bring it up. I think I can bring it up. So the biggest pain point for our migration is the data readiness so far. The amount of errors that we have in our data is ridiculous. 300,000 errors on Potable alone was just, it about blew my mind whenever I saw it. I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to deal with all of these issues in a timely fashion. But I found that the vast majority, like I said, were like those domain issues that I could massively calculate those things and just kick everybody else out of the Potable network for the day so that I'm not going to get any conflicts at the end of the day. So our drone unit, I believe, is a Parrot. Yes, I'm getting a head shake from one of my staff. It's just like tiny. Oh, there it is. One of my staff answered already. It's a Parrot Anify. But I think that we are trying to get some new drones, but the state rules have changed and we're kind of restricted in what we can actually buy now. So anyhow, I think that's it. All right. Well, thank you guys. Oh, sorry. We had a couple more questions come in. So the question is, are you using traditional versioning or branch versioning? We're currently using traditional versioning. However, we know that whenever we migrate into the util network, we will have to use branch versioning. And then the next one was, yeah, that's true. So Pro does not have all of the tools quite yet to edit in the util network, which is something that we did get information from our consultant with Esri. He kind of gave us a breakdown of an Excel spreadsheet of like current tools in GIS and what the replacement tool would be in Pro if there is one. One of the big concerns that I had was the connect and disconnect from the network tool. And we use this quite often whenever that we are abandoning features because we don't actually delete them from our system. We just use attribution to push them out of the view. So he thought that those were going to go away and then got right back with me and was like, no, they're still going to be there. Because we have to disconnect that one feature. Let's say it's a linear feature. We have to disconnect it from the point feature and move it just ever so slightly away so that once that it is abandoned and you can no longer see it, it's not being pulled around with that point feature every time that you try to move it. So, all right. Okay, I think I'm done now. There's no more questions. Thank you, Kelly.